When was the last time you sat in silence for 20 minutes and thought about how grateful you were for everything you have?
It's going to be a never.
You got to choose things that make you happy. And it is just cliche, but it is the truth. There are a lot of people out there who are not happy, and it's because they chose something and they feel like they're stuck. The way algorithms work on social media, you are diluting yourself when you have 1,500 Instagrams. You're competing with each other for the same terms. If you have one that's number one in search, you're not competing with yourself everywhere. Sounds like the nightly news of Dan Rather. Holy shit.
Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. As you might have noticed, we have a very special guest for you this week. But before we get to him, let's talk about my co-host, Mateo Lopez, who is joining us live, coming off of a fine trip from Mexico City. He's rested, he's refreshed, and he's ready to talk with one of the biggest guests we've ever had in the show. It is our good friend, Jamie Weeks. He's not actually
good friend,
but we want him to be our good friend.
I mean, that was an aggressive statement. Good friend. I actually, listen, you texted me, and if you text me, you're a friend. So we're friends for sure.
All right. We made it to friends. The next time he comes on the show, good friend. That's what we're shooting for, because life's all about
maybe by the end of the show, we're good friends.
I also am not well rested from my trip in Mexico. Let's just clear that up as well. I am not.
Mateo,
well
what's
rested.
Mexico? I've always wanted to go to Mexico City. What's Mexico City like?
Oh my God, dude.
I bet it's amazing, right?
Our podcast. It was the most amazing 3 days ever.
You had been
I've probably
before?
eaten the best food as a child, but not as an adult. So it was 11 out of 10, just the best.
Safe?
Certainly in the neighborhoods we were. Yeah. It depends on your neighborhood, but yeah, there's a fair amount of hoods where you can just, it's super, super safe.
Food was amazing.
Probably the best I'll ever have. So it's kind of
I've had other people tell me that the food in Mexico City is the best they've ever had.
Yeah, and now I have to live the rest of my life having already tasted greatness, so I don't know what I'm going to do now. Probably have the best cocktails in the world.
That seems a bit dramatic. I think you'll be probably okay. I don't know. You made it this far without it, so I think you're going to be fine.
I could probably just end it now, really, is what we're saying. But anyway, yes, it was incredible.
We're full of aggressive statements this morning.
We're starting with hyperbole. We're just hitting it hard, and then we're going to dial it back. Well, with grand statements, let's give a brief bio on Jamie. Jamie started what became the largest Orange Theory franchisee, and now he's got his hands in a lot of pots, but his big home run project now is a wellness franchise called SweatHouz. And if you are unfamiliar, I shouldn't explain it. Jamie should probably explain it. So Jamie, what is SweatHouz?
I mean, I think you're right. It's a wellness concept. We've got 40 open today. It's really a focus on contrast therapy, infrared sauna, cold plunge, vitamin C shower. The whole point of SweatHouz is pretty simple, right? Reduce inflammation, reduce stress in a holistic, natural way. No injections, no pills. Let's see what we can do. If you're reducing inflammation, you're reducing a precursor to 87% of disease. If you're reducing stress, you're probably creating happiness, you're creating longevity, you're creating all the things that we look for. And there's not a whole lot of stuff out there that's creating or doing something in a holistic way that's reducing inflammation or reducing stress. And so that's the real focus at SweatHouz. I think the other thing you think about, like in the last 15, 20 years, if I wanted to go do breath work or go have, meditation to myself, if I wasn't going to do it at home and I wasn't going to do it at work, where could I go? And so having that private suite for an hour where you have entertainment in there with a television, you've got your cold plunge, your own private sauna, your own private shower, all the amenities. It's nice just to have that space. And we think about, mental health and that journey there and needing a space to really just have breath work and meditation and the sauna and having space to yourself. Yeah, that's needed. I don't think we didn't know we needed it until you had it. And now that we have it and it's out there, we're having some pretty good success.
Teo and I are certainly stressed all the time and could use
I can tell.
Some wellness in our lives.
Yes, you actually could.
And so one's opening up near us. So coming soon.
Yeah, we've got, we've got 40 open, got 150 leases signed. We'll get to Studio 100 by May, June of next year, Studio 200 by the end of 25. It's good. I'm learning a lot. I've never been a franchisor before, so I'm learning how to be a franchisor. We're definitely doing it differently than other franchisors, or maybe another way to say it is we're kind of taking the best franchisors of little pieces of what they've done and implementing it in SweatHouz. I mean, that's kind of the way you evolve a sector and evolve a business. And so we're kind of doing franchising differently. And so I'm having fun with that.
So you've had a lot of experience on the other side of the coin as a franchisee through Orange Theory, and you have a
Talktopia.
couple other franchisee. You're a franchisee in a couple other concepts. So what have you learned from that, and what steps are you taking to actually support the franchisees for SweatHouz?
Yeah. Great question. I mean, when I was in the Orange Theory system, at one point, I think there were 850 franchisees for 1,500 locations. That's a lot of franchisees. And I just remember speaking to that executive team all the time. And it was always that 20% of their franchisees were causing 80% of the problems. Well, 20% of 850 franchisees is 170 problems. That's a lot of problems. And so I knew that if I was going to franchise this business, I wanted less franchisees. I wanted people that would experience multi-unit, had a team in place. And so we really focused on that. And so right now we've got 36 franchisees in the system. They're spread out. They all have a ROFR of some form or capacity to expand their territories and do more. I don't want franchisees on top of each other. I think that's a massive, massive issue. If you look at just simple stuff, right? I can't have 8 franchisees in one city all competing for labor, different marketing, different all these things going on. And so if you own, I'll use example, Indianapolis. If you have Indianapolis, you need to be the franchisee of Indianapolis. If you have, Birmingham, Alabama, you need to own Birmingham. That needs to be yours. And so just setting it up that way from day one has made life much easier. And then if you take that and just kind of extrapolate it over 10 years, you're going to get a lot more done. So I think that's the way we set it up was first and foremost the most important thing. Second is, when you have 36 franchisees, I can do a 15-minute Zoom with every franchisee every week, and that's on the calendar. We're at the point now where I'm like, hey, listen, if it's just to catch up and say hi, shoot me a text and I'll text you. But if it's, hey, we need to go through some business topics and issues, get me on the Zoom and let's do it. And so they have the opportunity to do a 15-minute Zoom with me every single week. And I probably do 20 of those every week. So I'm in the weeds with these franchisees. We're talking about everything from real estate to construction to ops to sales to everything to the actual the business itself. And I don't have an office. I sit on the open floor with the whole team. And so when I'm doing these calls, if there's something that's got to get answered, I'm yelling across the hall saying, hey, come here. I've got so-and-so on the Zoom. Can we walk through this and figure this out? So we're getting answers pretty quickly. And that's going to help us scale this thing even faster.
Jamie showed us his calendar. He's doing them. It's back to back to back to back. I was like, I couldn't believe it, but that thing is stacked.
I mean, listen, the other thing though, you guys are young guys and you're building a business yourself. And the way I look at this is like, you have to have sacrifice to have reward. You don't get to not sacrifice and then just get all the reward. And my sacrifice is my time right now, right? Me and Mike Tan, my COO, who's really my business partner, we're 80 hours a week, 70 hours a week. I mean, we're in the office 7 days a week. We're here nonstop. And I'm sacrificing my time today to hopefully have a big reward at some point.
So speaking of staff, right? One of the main complaints that we hear with the gym owners we're talking with, and also we were gym owners ourselves too, this was an issue we ran into as well, is staffing issues, right? They stem from staffing issues. I heard you say on another podcast that you use your corporate locations kind of like a farm league system for your managers. And you often seed that first employee to your franchisees. So can you explain how the system works for SweatHouz, how this farming system works, and how do you also ensure quality when you're training?
Yeah, I mean, that's a two-part question, right? So first is how do we ensure quality? I mean, we hire fast, fire fast. I mean, we've got a really good brand, and brand awareness is starting to happen in a big way nationally. So we're starting to get really good resumes coming across our desk, and we're hiring people pretty quickly. So that's first and foremost. We kind of let the talent come to us. If we build the right system, the talent will come. Second is, I don't know if I would call it a farm system as much as, because it's definitely, it's available for franchisees and available for managers and regionals that work for corporate to go run bigger businesses with franchisees. I'm not stopping anyone from interviewing and saying, so if I have a franchisee that's building, 20 stores in California and I've got a manager that's crushing it, but I don't have anywhere else, that manager needs to go talk to that franchisee and have a chance to go do more. And so I don't know that I would call it a farm system, although that is the correct way to look at it. It's more of, we're not holding back anyone in any way from talking to anybody in the system. Because I don't view this as corporate versus franchisee. I view this as we're all one system winning together. If my focus is these franchisees winning and making as much money as possible, I don't need to worry about corporate. we're going to be fine. And so my focus is 24/7, my franchisees having the most success possible, because that will result in us having success. And so if that means they get some of our best employees, I'm fine with it. I totally get it.
Seems like not the typical outlook or philosophy with other franchises. I'm
but
imagining.
Isn't it the right way to do it? I actually think it may not be typical, but I think, listen, the biggest problem in franchising is the franchisor has one goal and the franchisee has a different goal, and they're on two completely different paths. And so all I've done here is said, hey, listen, let's see what happens if we all have the same goal. God forbid we all have success together and everybody win. I've always been a win-win guy. I've never been a win-lose guy. I've always been a win-win. And so having that mentality of like, let's all win together, it's easy to do it when you only have 36. If you have 400 franchisees, it's really, really difficult because you've got every dog's wagging a different tail, and there's a lot of different things going on. And so, I want to keep us a small family, small group, all having success.
To be clear, dear listener, I was being facetious, and I think Jamie Weeks is doing it the cool way and the right way.
No, I don't. I knew what you meant completely. I mean, listen, I've seen so many amazing franchises fail because of the way the franchise system was set up and not because the product was bad. Okay. I mean, Planet Fitness is a really simple model, and it's an unbelievable product for that client. And they've done it exactly the way you're supposed to do it. They're using the brand fund dollars to help the entire brand and their commercials, everything they've done. And so as an example of how we're doing it differently, we're not doing an Instagram for every location. We have one Instagram. We have one marketing. We have one social media handle. That allows now I don't want my franchisees trying to be a CMO. They need to be taking care of members, and they need to be servicing members to the highest ability, not worried about what they're going to post. And so like at Orange Theory, there's an Instagram for every studio. And I get what they were doing, and I understand that, we want local. No, it's diluting everything, because now I have 1,500 different CMOs, 1,500 different marketing messages. 80% of it's the same, but it's that 20% that's a real difference. And so we've got to get away from that and just have one brand mission and one brand voice.
I was going to ask about that. So this is the opposite of the way you did it back with Orange Theory then.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a choice, right? And by the way, at the time, I didn't know it was wrong. I thought it was the right way to do it. But getting out of that system and seeing where we're at today, I'm like, we should probably do this a little differently. This was a really heavy lift. Us running 142 Instagrams for 142 studios was very, very difficult and was taking up way too much time. That time should have been spent recruiting more talent and taking care of our members and coming up with ways to impact the members' lives, not worried about what we're going to post. And then I was up all night worrying that some rogue employee was going to post something they shouldn't have been posting. And now I'm trying to fix that. So it takes it off of the franchisor, and they say, you do it. But that's because the franchisor doesn't want to deal with it. In my case, I'm like, no. This is my brand. We're going to do the marketing because I have a vision. The team has a vision, and we're very specific about how we want to do this.
So if a specific studio wants to run ads or some type of offer, are they doing that through you and someone in your HQ staff?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Guess what? Every studio is doing the same thing. I'm not going to allow a Pittsburgh SweatHouz to run something that they're not running in LA. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, is Chipotle running different ads for different locations? No. Is that Apple store running a different sale on an iPhone that they're not running in Seattle, they're running in Portland or running in Boston? No. So we shouldn't be doing that either. And so we've got to go about this. If we want to be a big boy, we got to think like a big boy, and we got to act like a big boy. And running 150 different Instagrams with at this studio, they're doing this promo, and this studio, they're doing this promo. That's not a unified view, and it's not brand awareness the way that I want brand awareness.
So there's basically a singular marketing calendar. And if January we're running this, everyone's running that. Again,
it's not that everyone's running it because there's nothing for them to run. They don't have an Instagram. There's no Instagram for SweatHouz Pittsburgh. It's one SweatHouz. It's one Instagram. And so we are running that and driving that. And by the way algorithms work on social media, you are diluting yourself when you have 1,500 Instagrams. You're competing with each other for the same terms. If you have one that's number one in search, you're not competing with yourself everywhere.
And it's really hard to do one well. Like just doing one well is incredibly, incredibly hard, much less.
But if you do it in-house and don't use it, we do everything in-house. All of our marketing is in-house, all of it. Photography and videography, 100% in-house. We have people that do it in-house. We own the equipment. So when we're going to shoot content, we're doing it in-house. Now imagine the founder of the business and the entire marketing team of 9 people going to shoot content together versus an agency doing it. Is the agency going to do it prettier? Maybe. But are they going to get exactly what my vision is and the team's vision is? No, they're not. And so this is the way to do it exactly the way we want to do it. It takes more effort, but you know what? The $1 million a year I'm saving by not having an agency do it, I'm putting in ads, influencers, and marketing.
So, but then what happens if like a certain location just isn't getting the same amount of inquiries as like another one? Like,
that happens all the time, right? And we can adjust that. We're still doing local ads. We run all the local ads ourselves and we do all the local ads. So we can adjust local content however we see fit, but it's us doing it, not a franchisee. Listen, most franchisees, this is not for us, but for most, well, a few of these, this is their first time running a business. And so you're telling me I'm going to have a franchisee and I have all this experience. Why would I have a franchisee said, well, I'm going to try to be my CMO as well and run a business and build it and construct it and hire and fire and take care of members and do all these things? You have to take stuff away from the franchisee and handle this for them. And if I tell my franchisee, your only job is to have the happiest members in the world, I'm going to do your marketing. We're going to do your ads. We're going to do all that stuff for you. And you don't have to pay for it. We're paying for it. We're the ones paying for it. That brand fund will pay for those ads. If you want local marketing, you have to pay for that, obviously, yourself. But guess what? You're not having to pay an agency fee on top of it. So we can adjust and do all those things. But in my opinion, this is the right way to do it. In my opinion, I want that franchisee only focused on the member experience. That's it.
So given your experience with private equity and growing franchises, what advice would you offer a new franchisee who's just starting out in the industry?
Well, I don't think private equity is any part of that advice, right?
I mean, your experience in private equity has shaped your experience like your thoughts and opinions as a franchisor, hasn't it?
Well, let's hold on. So you're asking me what advice I would give to a new franchisee or a new franchisor?
A new franchisee specifically. Someone joins your system, one of the 38 when you're signing them on. Hey, Jamie, what is the thing I got to do if I'm gonna do well? If we're gonna work together, like what is the advice you are giving that person to set them up for success?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, and it's people. You have to overpay the right people. Early in any business, you can point to and you can say, these are the 5 or 10 people we hired, and we overhired early and we overpaid early to make sure they weren't leaving, right? And a lot of early business owners, forget about franchise, just business owners, they go cheap early and they pay for that over the first 2 years of growth of the business. And then they realize, oh, if I would have just spent 20 or 30% more on these people, I wouldn't be having to retrain people every 2 years. And so at the end of the day, you overhire and you overpay and you put the right people in place. If you do that, you will scale much faster. I mean, a lot of people have asked how I've been able to, over 3 or 4 years, build a business and sell it. I've done it 3 times now. And it's because I'm overhiring early, I'm overpaying early, and I'm putting the right people in place, and I'm investing in the people early. If you have the product, like at Orange Theory and Dogtopia, the product's already there. There's nothing else. They've already proven out the model. It works. It works. I don't have to do anything. So now the only way I fail with that product is I underhire. I don't put the right people in place. So if I have the right product and then I put the right people in place, what else is there to do? It's already in place. And so like the model at SweatHouz, we have the model. It's working. So I'm telling all my franchisees, the reason we had success at Orange Theory, the reason we had success at Dogtopia, and the reason we had success early at SweatHouz. Remember, by the way, this is the 5-year anniversary of my first SweatHouz. We've had SweatHouz open for 5 years. This ain't like we just opened it a couple of years ago. I opened this thing pre-pandemic, pre-TikTok. So, this is not new. But the reason we had success is because we overhired early, and over half of those people are still with me today.
So with SweatHouz, right, where you're emphasizing whole person wellness, what additional wellness modalities or technologies are you exploring for future offerings?
Yeah, good, fair question. I think breath work and meditation is something we're going to lead pretty heavy into, especially mindfulness, right? I mean, taking an hour, taking 30 minutes in that sauna and having no lights on, maybe soft music in your ears, and just being grateful and just thinking about all the things in life that you should be grateful for and thankful for. We don't do that enough. And if you took 20 minutes every day in silence and just appreciated what you have in your life, the love, the friendships, all these gifts that we're giving, you won't believe, if you do that for 30 days, you won't believe how fast your perspective on life will change and your happiness will increase dramatically. But I mean, this is an honest question to both of you, honest, and just be straight up with me. When was the last time you sat in silence for 20 minutes and thought about how grateful you were for everything you have? Have you ever done it?
It's going to be a never. Close
to
to
be
never.
fair, I not for very long, but after this Mexico trip, I did think like, wow, that was pretty special. I was pretty blessed.
But when have you sat in silence? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't in silence.
Right. So I'm going to challenge both of you in the next 30 days, take 20 minutes one time. It can be anywhere. And just lay there by yourself, sit there by yourself, a little bit of music if you want a little bit of music, and just for 20 minutes list the things of all the things in your life that you should be grateful for. Children, wives, parents, grandparents, family, friends, all the sunsets and sunrises, right? You start doing that, you won't believe what will happen in your life and how quickly you will start having happiness. And so that's a hack. It's not even a modality. We can all do it. You don't need SweatHouz for that, right? That's a complete hack that I highly, highly recommend. And so, Mateo, your question is what other modalities? I don't know. We're adding red light beds everywhere. People think that your red light in your sauna works. It doesn't work. Red light can't penetrate the sweat. It can't penetrate the heat. So if you're getting red light in a sauna, it's not working. You need it in a red light bed. That's the best way to do it. So we're adding red light beds to a lot of our SweatHouzes, and going forward, most of them will have a red light bed. Or at least in that city, you'll be able to get to one and use it. But I don't know. I'm not smart enough to add other modalities. I'm just dumb enough to probably have success because I'm just not going to mess it up.
Does it count if I was practicing gratitude going through turbulence on the flight back? Does that count?
I don't know. That's gratitude. I think that's prayer. That's,
Okay.
yeah, but by the way, very similar. Very similar. Yeah. One,
Often
you're talking to yourself.
though, yes.
The other one, you're talking to him.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com.
So playing off the, you're not going to mess this up vein. One of the things that seems treacherous about, operating triple digit units is consistent quality and customer experience. What are you doing to ensure, your customer experience and your quality stays the same across all your locations?
Wow. These are really good questions, boys. Really good question. That's a great question. It's first thing I think about every day, John. That's top of my mind. So the art in the hallways has to be hung at a certain height. I'm telling you that because that's the level of detail and in the weeds that we are. And it has to be hung to the height of the door opening, not the height of the trim above the door. And I have been in several studios where I've made them lower the art 3 inches to fit exactly in the eye line of someone who's 5'9". That's what we're looking for. And so the level of detail that we are in for this member experience is so in the weeds that it's going to be really hard to get outside the boundaries. I think the other thing also is this is a simple box to operate. It's not a simple box to open. It's very, very difficult. You have a sauna and a plunge in one room that's 12 by 12. You've got plumbing and a shower. You've got plumbing and HVAC all competing for that air. Some of it is humidity. Some of it is not. You've got water. I mean, it's very difficult to get these things open. But the other side to it is once it's open, it's a very simple box to run, right? The member journey is really driven through the app. And so that's going to be central through us. And so it's going to be different for each person, but the experience from beginning to end should be about 90 to 95% the same.
So you've mentioned in other interviews that you're using data to make many of your business decisions, your important business decisions. When we're building our gym management software, Kilo, reporting on these important metrics is also very important to us. But what store level metrics do you monitor regularly?
Yeah, studio level metrics. It depends. If it's in the first 90 days, we're watching utilization to make sure that schedule is correct. At Orange Theory, the most popular class is a 5 a.m. class. The second most popular is a 6:15. And so we now have SweatHouzes that are opening earlier and earlier and staying open later and later. One of the differences, you don't see a lot of people that want to do a fitness class at 11 p.m. at night, but we have a lot of people that want a sauna and cold plunge at 11 p.m. at night. And so this is a really unique situation here. And again, this isn't fitness, it's wellness, so it's completely different. But this is something where this model may be 24/7. Like we may have the ability in the next 6 months where you tap your phone, it lets you in. There's probably an employee there, no doubt. Then you tap to go in your own suite, you're in there. And you for you think about nurses and doctors and people that are working all hours of the night. They need to lower inflammation and stress as much as anybody. And so we need to make sure we have this available to everybody. And so utilization and hours are really important in the first 90 days. After 90 days, I would say the metrics I'm looking at the most is, how much of it is a membership? How much of it is a pack? Where are we running with labor? Is the labor enough to service? Like an NPS score, our net promoter score is the first thing I look at every day. I can tell if a studio's NPS score is low, the manager and the employees are doing something wrong, most likely. If it's really, really high, we may be giving stuff away for free, right? We've seen that happen a bunch. How'd you get a 97 NPS score? Oh, you discounted all these memberships and we're just giving away free passes everywhere. Yeah. Right. And so there's that middle ground of having that NPS score that's in a level where it all makes sense. And so there's a lot of different things to look at. But to me, months in operation is going to dictate what I look at in that KPI.
So Teo and I have gotten lucky and unlucky, with some of the mentors, role models, and inspiration that we've drawn across our time in the fitness industry. One person you've mentioned publicly is Greg Flynn. For people who don't know who he is, who is he and why is he someone you look up to?
I mean, he's the largest franchisee owner in the world. I don't know. He's got I think it's 3,200 restaurants, 3,800 restaurants. I mean, you guys can tell me the stats better than me. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 plus years. The guy's the king. He's the king. There's 3 people I look up to where I'm I would do anything to just copy that and be half of that. He's one of, I think Dana White at UFC is probably second, of just a no holds bar. I'm going to do it my way. This is how we're doing it. Get out of my way. I'm very similar to that. A lot of people would tell you that. That's good and bad. And then some different people in private equity that I really look up to. But I think what Greg Flynn has done, he has proven that you can be as big as you want to be in franchising. There's no ceiling in franchising. You can be as big as you want to be. And I actually think it's easier, because the models are already out there. They're telling you it's working. We have 200 open. How many would you like to buy? Where would you like to open them? How would you like to do it? And so, for me, I like something where it's already there and I can tweak and do what I want to do and make it my own, right? That's really important to me. But there's a balance there, right? I tell our franchisees all the time, listen, the model's there. Just follow the model. If you have suggestions, opinions, and ideas, I'm open to all of them. But just know 9 out of 10 times we've already thought about it. But that's a good one. Every now and then a franchisee will call me hey, have we done this? And I'm like, no, and we should. And now I'm pissed. I'll get back to you in an hour. And I walk down the hallway and I'm like, what are we doing? How did we got to fix this? This guy's right, And so that's fun and sad.
SweatHouz isn't strictly fitness, right? But it is a component of wellness and
it's not fitness at all.
A lot of right. But certainly people who are into fitness will utilize it. But also
only 20% of our members are coming for gym recovery.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
That's how big our TAM is. That's how big our total addressable market is. That only 20% of our members are coming from recovery from fitness. The other 80% are coming for different reasons.
There's 70 million people.
There's 70 million people in America that have a gym membership. 70 million people have a gym membership in America. That's a pretty big TAM.
Wow. So then I guess how else do you see then the fitness industry evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? Are you going to see more SweatHouz like competitors? Or are you going to see that, I don't know, AI is going to replace all personal training? How do you see it shaken out in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, again, those are two, like SweatHouz is not fitness. So just take SweatHouz completely out. It's not fitness, it's wellness. It has nothing to do with fitness, right? It's a component of someone that may want to get recovery from fitness, but it's not fitness. So the question is, how do I see fitness evolving? I don't know. I go back to this, which I've said in other podcasts, right? I think what we've learned over the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago, if you'd have said, hey, I got to get in shape, you'd go to Crunch or Planet Fitness and you would work out and eat less. That was it. But what we've learned now is that true whole person wellness is not just fitness. That's a 10% component. And then you have recovery, and then you have nutrition, specifically protein, and then you have supplements, and then you have therapy, and then you have stretch, and then you have Pilates, and then you have all the sleep. I mean, I've got an 8 sleep. It's the greatest thing I've ever used in my entire life. It's changed my life. And now you've got these wearables, and I've been wearing an Oura ring for the last 6 years. And so we've got all these things telling us that whole person wellness is not just fitness. It's one component of it. And so I think the opportunity here is to not focus just on fitness. And my personal investment thesis is I want to invest in the things that a centenarian are doing. A person that's achieving living to 100, trying to live to 100, what are they doing? And how can I invest alongside the things they're doing? And so if you look at centenarians, what you're realizing is zone 2 cardio for them is a massive component. Walking 10 to 14,000 steps a day is a massive component of people living to 100. Protein, olive oil, happiness, fulfillment, therapy, all these things are part of living longer. And so if you want to have abs, your focus is fitness and nutrition. If you want to live a long time, those are 2 pieces of 20 things to live a long time. And so as much as I'd love to have abs, let's just be honest, it ain't happening, right? But I do want to live a long time. And so I've got to do all these things around it to live a long time.
Those blue zoners also have a glass of wine a day. Are we putting some wine bottles in the next SweatHouz, Jamie? What are we doing?
No, listen, I'm not an alcohol guy. I gave up alcohol 4 or 5 years ago completely. I had Peter Attia as my personal doctor for 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. I told him I was never a big drinker. I was like, yeah, what if I gave up alcohol? He's like, if you give up alcohol, you probably just added 10 years to your life. I was like, what? He was like, yeah. He goes, it's that bad for you. I go, what about a glass of wine? He goes, there's nothing that tells me that a glass of wine a day is going to help you live longer. They want to tell you that, but it's not there. The facts aren't there.
Did he give you any other one-liners that'll add 10 years to our life?
I think just giving up alcohol is the only one he gave me. That's a smart dude. Jesus Christ, that's a smart. That guy's too smart. I mean, every time I talk to him, I'm like, there's like 30 words I got to look up. I have no clue what you're talking about. He's amazing.
And he's one of these guys who pioneered a lot of this stuff, or at least brought it mainstream, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think between him and Andrew Huberman and Rhonda Patrick and Susanna Soberg, who we talked to, I mean, who's our head of education and science at SweatHouz. I mean, these people, they've dedicated their lives to the research and the science of what we're talking about. What's happened is crazy. Social media and the way we get information has allowed us to get this in a way that we've never gotten it before. Listen, I'm 49 years old. You know, I grew up where I had a newspaper and Dan Rather. That's all we had. I didn't have anything else. I had no other way to get information. We're now opening studios in areas that you never would have thought would have success because it's a small town, but it's because they're getting the information just like everyone else. And so a Youngstown, Ohio is understanding contrast therapy as much as someone in New York because of social media. And so when you have that, when you realize that that's there, I'm not as scared to take risk in certain markets because they're getting the information for the last 5, 6, 7 years, unlike they've ever gotten it in their lives.
And so there's a lot of there's a lot of overlap in the thinking between some of the fitness industry, the wellness industry. What would you call guys like Peter Attia? That's longevity, I guess. That would be the third circle in the Venn diagram here. You got kids who are thinking about probably what they want to be when they grow up. If you have a kid who they tell you, I want to help people as an entrepreneur, how are you helping them choose a path? Select what vehicle is the best opportunity for them?
Yeah, man, that's such a broad question, John. Good God, I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, listen, I got a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. I got two girls, and 18's looking at college now, about to go to college next year. And so I'm telling her they're right when they tell you do what makes you happy. Like, I love to work. I love to build brands. I love to build culture. I love to be in it. I just love it so much. So for some people, they look at what I do 70 hours a week and they're like, God, I don't know how he does that. There's no way I could do that. And I'm like, man, I love it. It's everything to me. And so you've really got to choose a path that makes you happy. At the end of the day, happiness is all that matters. It's all that matters. And I wasn't always happy. I mean, I was miserable for years, miserable. But when you start choosing happiness, you won't believe what'll happen in your life. And so you've got to choose happiness. And if being a nurse makes you happy, like I look at nurses and doctors and I'm like, I don't know how they do that. There's no way they do that. But then I see some of them and they're the happiest people in the world. And there's like, it's all I want to do. I just want to serve people all day, every day. And I'm like, thank God you chose the path of happiness and not the path of, I want to be a billionaire, right? You chose a path that we have to have. And so my 18-year-old, I think she wants to be a school teacher for special needs children. Like, are you kidding me? I can't think of something more rewarding in the world than that. Also, I can't think of something more difficult. And so you got to choose things that make you happy. And it is just cliche, but it is the truth. There are a lot of people out there who are not happy, and it's because they chose something and they feel like they're stuck. And you're not stuck. You can get out of it. You got to choose to get out of it, though. You have to make that choice. You have to make that move. You got to take the risk.
Thought that was a good answer to a broad question, didn't you, Teo?
Yeah, that was pretty much, that was it. We got it. We got the
queued it
soundbite.
up.
We got the trailer.
I mean it. Listen, man, you know, I don't talk about this a lot, and it's something that at some point in my life I'm going to have to talk about. But I went through a 2 or 3 year period of massive, massive depression. And what got me out of that was movement and choosing to go faster and harder and be busy and choose happiness. And you listen, part of that depression was me feeling sorry for myself and me being a victim in my own head that something had happened to me that I didn't deserve. And the reality is that nothing had happened. It was just in my head that something had happened. And I was really in a tough spot mentally. And I look back on it and I had some amazing friends that got me through it and people that really gave me the confidence to move forward and be happy. But I'm telling you right now, when you start choosing happiness every day and just saying, I'm just going to be happy no matter what happens, you won't believe what will happen to your life. But you have to choose happiness.
And that's hard to do sometimes as an entrepreneur. Man.
Very, because by the way, the harder it is to do, the more reason you have to do it. I'm telling you, man, I was down to the felt. I was as desperate mentally as I could ever been. And I don't know if it was faith. I don't know it was friends. I don't know what got me out of it. But I look back, listen, we've all had a friend, or maybe we've been that friend, where we've been in a bad relationship. And when you're inside that relationship, you can't really see what's going on. But all your friends in the outside are looking, saying, man, this ain't going to go well. And we know it's not going to go well. And you don't know that until you get out and look back. And so you have to be retrospective and you have to look back on what has happened in the past and realize every time that you were unhappy, there was a movement or something shifted that you had to change to become happy again. And when you realize that it's up to you to make those choices, then you make those choices and you shift and you move. So like as an example, if I know that, I've got someone in my life, whether it's a friend or whatever it is, that's not happy, not positive, is bringing me down and not building me up, dude, I'm out. I'm done. We're not talking. We're out. And you have to make those decisions. You have to make those decisions for yourself.
Boom.
There you go. There you go, gym owner.
That is what's up. So Jamie, we want to be respectful of your time. We know you got a bunch of stuff to get to. For people who want to follow along in your journey, where can they go to get more information about you and what you got going on?
I don't know. I'm not on LinkedIn anymore. I hate LinkedIn. That thing's the worst.
It is.
Can I get one more person emailing me on LinkedIn that I need to buy their list? Like, I don't know what list you're selling. I don't want your list. So I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm private on Instagram, Jamie Weeks ATL. I'll probably accept you, but it's really not much of a journey to follow. It's really you just heard everything you need to hear right there. Follow these guys though.
I mean, you saved everybody 10 years of their life, and Teo and I are going to be happy after we do our 20-minute gratitude session.
I didn't say that would add 10 years. I said
back.
not drinking alcohol, I think, would add 10 years probably.
They're two separate things. I'm gonna quit the alcohol, and then I'm gonna work on the gratitude piece. So then I'll be happy and old.
Listen, let me tell you about the alcohol thing. Nothing disrupts your sleep more than alcohol. Nothing. And so if you're not sleeping well, it's really hard to be happy the next day, isn't it? Sleep's the key to everything, boys. Sleep's the key to everything.
I know. You're a big fan of that 8 sleep.
It's amazing. There's nothing better.
Talk about it a few times.
It's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets. There's nothing better. Yeah.
So Teo, where do people go if they want to find us, Teo? Where do people go if they want to find us?
Well, you should go if you want to talk to us or someone on our team. You go to usekilo.com. You click that book a call button. Maybe you'll find me on there. Maybe you'll find John or someone like us, and you can talk to us there. You can also go to usekilo.com. At Kilo Gyms on our Instagram, and follow along the journey there too. And then for Gym World, you want to KILOGYMS. That's true. Yes.
Kilo Gyms. All right, guys, we appreciate it. Finding guys like Jamie, begging them to come on the show. It's hard work. So if you appreciate it, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow along on the journey. We'll catch you next week. We love you, Gym World.